My name is Candace Sanderson, and I want to welcome you to my channel. Recently, a social media group that I belong to has been discussing dreams. I thought, that's right up my alley. My dream journal now has over 250,000 words in it. I love going back and revisiting these nighttime adventures to see what new insights they bring. As we revisit life, whether it's a dream or a memory of an event, things often change. Why? Well, naturally, it's because we have changed. As we take a larger perspective, a perspective that's offered by the passage of time, we see things from a different point of view. That passage of time provides an overview that was not available in real time. We're not as emotionally involved. We, or our egos, our judgments, are no longer there to the extent they were before. Have you ever gone through family photos and when you see a picture of an infant, you have to look really hard to remember, even if it's one of your children? Now, who is that? When we took that picture, we never would have thought we would need a name on the back or a date, clues to inform us who that is. That's one effect of the passage of time. For those of you who follow me, you know that I have a short book called I Dreamed a Dream. This is based on the chapter by the same name in my first book, The Reluctant Messenger. I've rewritten it to add new perspectives that arrived after I published The Reluctant Messenger. It's also part of the From the Reluctant Messenger series, which is currently 5 books, and 4 of which were part of the original book. But I digress. As I reviewed some of the dreams from my journal, I found that some of them easily fit into categories: precognitive, visitations, shared dreams, OBE, out-of-body experiences. Precognitive dreams. This is where I receive a heads up of what has not yet occurred. I've had lots of these. Some let me know of something significant that might occur with a public figure or someone close to my circles or even a pet. But often these precognitive dreams are entertaining, not giving me any kind of earth-shaking information. For example, in 2019, I dreamed I was at an airport. I was at my gate. They hadn't started to board yet. I'm just sitting around looking. And I see this man who's reading my book, The Reluctant Messenger. I had just published it the year before. He was seated close to me, so I got his attention and I said, "That's my book." He quickly said, "No, it's my book." Then I explained what I meant, that it's my book that I wrote. I'm the author. We both shared a laugh. I did not think much of this dream except that it was funny. A few weeks later, however, I was at Monroe Institute in Virginia taking a program. It was the first morning of the retreat, and I was seated at the dining room in a little table for 4. And a man came and put his notebook and books next to me before taking his place in the buffet to get his food. When he returned, the woman next to me, just in polite conversation, asked him, "What are you reading?" Guess what? Of course, it was The Reluctant Messenger, my book. And I blurted out, "That's my book." When he gave me an odd look, I immediately recalled the dream and I quickly clarified. I said, "I'm the author." Then I told him about the precognitive dream I had. In the dream, I was at the airport. So when I translate that, I was far enough away from home to need to travel by air. When I was at Monroe Institute in Virginia, of course, I had flown in, so it matched the traveling away from home theme of the dream. I'll always remember that. Pete, the man who was seated next to me, is still my friend today. Here's another one. In October of 2005, I dreamed that a teacher I worked with, Cindy, had walked into the principal's office while I remained outside of the office in the waiting room. In the dream, I remembered there was a private bathroom within the principal's office, and I was afraid he was busy in the restroom and would exit his privacy of that room and be startled to see her standing there. Or maybe he would just be embarrassed. I don't know, but it would be awkward. Because I worked at multiple schools, it was a few days before I saw this teacher again. And when I told her the dream, she laughed so hard. It had already happened. She had an appointment with the principal for her annual performance evaluation. So she made sure she was on time or early, and she walked directly into his office. He wasn't there, so she's looking around and standing in front of his desk when he suddenly appears from his private bathroom in the office. It startled both of them. So why do we get these precognitive dreams? If I had told Cindy before her appointment, she may have changed her behavior, waiting outside the principal's door. But this was no big deal either way, whether it happened or not. It could be that this is just an example of that timeless nature of the worlds of the non-physical. Those lines delineating the past, the present, and the future are blurry. We can expand and contract to actually be in multiple places at multiple times simultaneously. It's not as easy to do that in the 3D, in our dense physical bodies. Next, let's move to visitations, my favorite dreams, where I get to hang out with people, many of whom I loved, but who have passed away. Some of these visits were to give me information that I needed or would need in the future. Other visits were those friendly check-ins to let me know how they are, to let me know they've been watching over me and my family. Some visitations were to ask for help, like a recent dream from someone who had passed away, but he had not quite made it to the other side and he needed assistance. In my book, I Dreamed a Dream, I open with the dream my mother had. My sister, who at the age of 23 had just been killed in a car accident, when she came to my mother in a dream. In the dream, she said, Mr. Johnson, not his real name, was with her. When we received the evening paper, there was Mr. Johnson's obituary. This was way back in the early 1970s, long before the internet. Mr. Johnson was the CEO of the business college my sister had attended. But this dream, my mother's dream, taught me two very important life lessons. Number one, life goes on after death. And number two, communication is still possible. I've had visits from my husband. He died of cancer a few months after reaching age 35. Yet I've seen him so many times. Before my two granddaughters were born, he showed them to me, and he got all the details right, the gender, the smiles, the looks. I absolutely love these visits. When I wake, I know it's real. It's actually more real than 3D. There's no doubt that I was with them. Now let's move to shared dreams with other people. In some dreams, I'm with other people, like the precognitive dream where I was with a teacher, Cindy. And when my dreams involve others, if it's someone close, I try to let them know that they were in my dreams. I cannot tell you how many times this day after contact has opened some very interesting doors. Try it. You just might find that they too dreamed of you. When that happens, these are shared dreams, where at least one person is dreaming at the same time I am. We share a common experience, but from our own perspective. These discoveries are usually very fascinating, but I would have never learned of them had I not taken the initiative to reach out and tell them they were in my dreams. Yeah, sometimes you have to crack the door open first. This happened on June 16th, 2020. I dreamed I was on a cruise with my friend Lauren. Suddenly, I flew about a mile above the ship and looked down. On the ship's deck, I saw 30 or more people scurrying about. They looked like ants, and they swarmed together until they formed a perfect oval shape. Lauren was at the head of the oval, and the only empty spot was next to her. I instinctively knew that place was reserved for me. I dropped in from above and I landed exactly in that spot. And when I did so, that oval ring was now complete. It was whole. It then flattened and transformed from a group of people to a solid, vibrating oval ring of golden white light. It lifted gently about 20 feet off the ground. It paused and then it shot out into the cosmos. I guess like a UFO or UAP. I texted Lauren the very next morning and she was amazed because she had what she called a companion dream. Before going to sleep, she had asked her guides to give her a meaningful dream. They did. In the dream, she was dressed in white gauzy clothing that billowed in the breeze. She was floating in space when she noticed dark oil drops splattered on her white clothes. The dark, oily drops became shimmering white. Then she noticed one of the spots was in the shape of an oval. So now we have the oval ring that is white and shimmering, something common to both of our dreams. The oval pulled her in like a vortex, just like the oval of people on the cruise ship had pulled me in. Lauren heard a voice say that she was on a journey and how important this incarnation was. She was there to support other travelers, and as she supported them, she too would benefit from their energy. She said these people had entered into an agreement before they entered their physical bodies. This was all part of a mutual agreement. There was a lot more detail to the message, but it was absolutely beautiful. Lauren said that afterwards, some of the faces of the people came into view, and one of them was me. These similarities were remarkable. Both of us were in oval rings of light with each other. I've had other dreams like this with other people, but what's key is to make the effort to contact these people in your dreams. That's the only way to get validation. Now, let me chat about OBEs, out of body experiences, and lucid dreams. OBEs and lucid dreams are two separate phenomena, but one way to achieve an out of body state is by launching it within a lucid dream. It makes sense, right? In the dream state, you're already in the energy body. So it's just a hop, skip, and a jump from there. In some dreams, I'm traveling with full knowledge. So I'm completely lucid and aware, totally awake. I know I'm dreaming, but in my energy body, I'm traveling through the universe. I zoom past stars and planets that are unknown to me, at least unknown to my 3D self. In these states, it's much easier to feel my way. My senses are heightened, so I just allow my inner guidance to take over. I trust it. I might feel drawn to a universe thousands of light years away. I allow myself to go there. I can drop down and interact with a place that is so far from our 3D Earth that I cannot use words to describe it. I can try, but it doesn't make sense. Many times I cannot categorize my dreams. They're probably just there to release something, like when I've eaten spicy food. Sometimes my dreams are just the mechanism to release discordant energy, whether it's spicy food or lots of negative or low lying energy that invades my 3D life. The dreams allow me an outlet to release these things. It's a type of recapitulation. Like taking a shower at the end of the day washes the dirt and grime off of my 3D life. Dreaming too can rid us of excess energy that we don't need or we don't want to keep. Dreams, of course, fall into more of just these categories. Sometimes the characters in the dreams represent different aspects of us, of who we really are deep inside. Sometimes those are the shadow parts that we hide from others. Well, not only from others, but from ourselves as well, too. I don't know whether Freud actually said this or not, but sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. So in my dream with Lauren, it wasn't an aspect of me, it was Lauren. In my dreams that are visitations, I'm connecting with the energies of those who had once been alive, not aspects of me. So not all dream characters represent parts of ourselves, but do some? Absolutely. Why? It's much easier to see objectively behavior patterns in other people instead of ourselves. Especially when my dreams involve many others, I try to look at the shadow patterns within me. Only by looking in the dark, in the shadows, can we bring these things to the light. When we bring our fears, our anxieties into the light, their shadow components disappear. In the shamanic field, that's how you turn your enemies into allies. Everything changes with the introduction of light, those higher vibrational frequencies of love, of gratitude, of happiness. They flourish in the light. And that light melts many of our fears. Think about walking down a dark alley and how that might make you fearful. A shadow on the wall makes us jump and our heart pounds. But as soon as the street light comes on, we see the shadows for what they are. Not scary monsters jumping out at us, but perhaps it's just the shadow of a tree that is swaying in the wind and it casts a shadow on the wall. Or maybe it's the movement of a cat as it jumps and hides when we startle it. Dreams are fascinating for so many reasons. Take the time to journal them, and you just might find some wisdom and entertainment within these nighttime adventures. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember the importance of being kind. If you don't have anything nice to say, keep it to yourself. Until next time, goodbye.